Imagine making a decision in just a few seconds and living with the consequences for the rest of your life. Those happen when emotions are not understood or controlled. Hi, welcome to another episode of Mental Health Series with Couch Ebube. In today's video, we'll be looking at the emotional component of mental health, meaning our feelings and emotion, how to understand and regulate them, and how to stay in control so we don't act impulsively and end up with regret or serious consequences. If you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Ebube. I'm a teacher, a mental health advocate, and a passionate optimist who believe that nothing can defeat you without your permission. So let's dive right into today's discussion. Welcome back. In our last episode, we talked about cognitive well-being, which you can also call cognitive health. I explained that cognitive well-being is referred to as how we think, how we reason, how we learn, how we remember and make decisions. It includes abilities such as attention, memory, problem solving, perception, and judgment. You can also simply put it like this: it is your ability to think beyond limitation. One of the highlights I got from that video was the ability to keep on moving despite oppositions and challenges, to find and use alternative paths rather than stopping at the end of the road. This resilience is determined by your mental capacity. If you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to watch it after this one for better understanding. Today, we'll be discussing emotional well-being as a core component of mental health. But before we go further, let us first understand what emotions are. Emotions is an individual's internal state of being. It is an involuntary psychological response to a situation or stimulus, closely tied to our feelings and mental state. Let's take, for example, imagine someone surprises you with your dream car. You stepping outside expecting your usual commute to work, and instead you see a loved one holding a key, congratulating you. When this happens, different people will react differently. Some may remain composed, others may cry or shout or run back inside in excitement. Some might appear calm, and if you don't understand them, you might misinterpret their action as pride. The truth is that every situation produces different reactions in different people. Those reactions are shaped by the individual's experience, the individual's upbringing, and the individual's personal development. That is why emotions are defined as an involuntary psychological response that is determined by what you are feeling inside, by your mental state. Let us look at the roles of your emotion in your everyday life. Emotion serves both adaptive and regulatory functions. Adaptive function in the sense that think of your emotions as your body built-in alarm and motivation system. Just as the alarm wakes you up in the morning, emotions alert your brain and prompt an action, whether to either fight or to flee, to smile, to cry, to speak, to stay calm. Now, emotions serving all those functions also serve as a regulatory function. It helps you to stay balanced. They guide your decision making and help you to respond appropriately to life challenges. As I said in the previous episode, mental health is not something you simply have. It is something you develop through constant practice. You might be wondering, why is it necessary for me to control my emotions? I once heard a story of a man who cut off his son's hand because the boy scratched his new car with a razor blade. Later in the hospital, when the boy regained consciousness, the boy apologized to his father again. And the father said, "Oh, my son, I forgive you." Then after a few minutes, the boy asked, "Dad, will my hand ever be the same again?" This question brought overwhelming regrets, but at that moment, it was already too late. The truth is that until we understand and master our emotion, we cannot control them. Now, what is emotional well-being? Emotional well-being is the ability to understand, express, and manage your emotions appropriately in a better way. For you to be able to gain mastery over your emotions, for you to be able to gain mastery over how you feel, there is a need for you to understand the emotion. There is a need for you to understand what you feel per time. Have you come encountered with people that you ask them, are you happy? They say no. Are you angry? They say no. What did you feel? They might be feeling anger, but they don't understand. So now, what is emotional well-being? Emotional well-being is the ability to understand, express, and manage your emotions appropriately. Manage your emotions in a better way. To gain mastery over your emotions, there is a need for you to understand them. If you can understand them, you can be able to express them properly without regret or harmful consequences afterwards. I want to say that emotions are real. They may not be physically touched, but they are deeply felt and clearly seen through our actions. And our actions are determinants of the state of our mental health. Also, emotions can be very misleading when misunderstood. But when you understand your emotions, they can be powerful tools that are capable of making you in charge of the environment per time. Now let us look at the key elements of emotional well-being. Number one is emotional awareness. This is the foundation of every emotional intelligence. It is your ability to identify, name, and understand what you feel. What you don't understand, you cannot name. And what you cannot name, you cannot control. And what you cannot control, you cannot manage effectively. The next element of emotional well-being is emotional regulation. Emotional regulation is your ability to manage your emotions so they don't control your behavior. Emotional regulation is not the same thing as emotional suppression. Emotional regulation means you are trying to manage it, then not allowing it to harm you or harm the other people. Now, I want to also add that emotional suppression can be very harmful to both the individual and others around him, because emotion is your way to live. Your emotions is your way to relate to life. Your emotion is your way of expressing life. So imagine denying yourself the joy of living because you are trying to suppress it. Not just anger alone, but either suppressing both anger, both joy, both happiness. You are just suppressing it because you don't want the other person to understand what you are feeling per time. So emotional suppression is very harmful. It's very dangerous for both the individual and people around you. So suppressing emotion can be likened to, just imagine blocking a pipe and pouring water into it, or using pressure to pump in water into it. What will happen? At some point, is either it passes out through the other end or it bursts open. And when it bursts open, it opens up from every side and everybody around will be affected. So that is what happens when someone suppresses emotion. You find out that this person, this individual, people will be, but this person used to be a quiet person. No, he or she has been piling up things for a very long time, which can be very harmful to that individual and of course to the other person. Because as I said, when you pump in water into a pipe and there is no escape route, by all means is going to find an escape route, which could be breaking up the pipe. Just imagine it, breaking up the pipe from every hose available because it wants a way to do what? Come out. So your emotions must always find a way to come out if it is not properly regulated. Another element of emotional well-being is emotional expression. As the name implies, those involve communicating your feelings in a healthy and constructive manner. For example, instead of shouting during a conflict, you calmly express how you feel. It will help the other person to understand you. Yeah, most of the time, this is not always easy, when you find yourself in an intense environment. But as I said, this is something you intentionally work on. For example, if you find out you're somebody that is easily irritated, you easily start raising your voice. I will tell you some of the things you can do to be able to manage so you don't have emotional outbursts. You can be able to at least take care of yourself by that time, manage yourself. Just imagine you, a big man or a big woman, just shouting because you could not be able to express it very well. But you are expressing it maybe during or after the conflict, but in a very constructive manner without harming yourself or the other person. Another element is empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share in the feelings of others. It is your ability to understand what the other person might be feeling to make the person react the way the person reacts. Because if you're talking about mental well-being, it's your ability to be able to understand yourself and also help another person understand what they are feeling. So empathy is your ability to be able to understand what the other person is feeling. It also allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting in the same way. It's always said that two people cannot be mad at the same time. Have you been in a situation whereby somebody just starts shouting at you and you be like, but I didn't do anything? Your ability not to respond to that person, try to be calm and then understand, but this person wasn't like this. Then understand, okay, maybe today they are not happy. Maybe today they are feeling somehow. That is why they have to start shouting. So when you recognize that someone's reaction may come from a deeper struggle, you are more likely to respond with calmness rather than aggression. Empathy grows, empathy increases when you can be able to understand and regulate your own emotions. Because if you can understand yourself very well, that is when you can be able to show empathy to the other person and allow them to talk even when they are feeling like agitated or not being happy. Another one is resilience. Resilience is your ability to recover from emotional setbacks and keep on moving forward. Just like in cognitive, we talked about this. Your ability to recover from an emotional setback and keep on moving forward. Life will always knock you down, but your strength lies in getting back up. Think of life as a wrestling match. Victory does not always go to the strongest, no. Victory goes to that one who refuses to stay down, stay knocked down, and remain knocked down. So prepare yourself emotionally before challenges come. That is why there is a need for you to build up yourself through journaling, through training, through understanding yourself. Prepare yourself emotionally before challenges come. Don't wait until you experience something. Like from another person's challenge, you can also start to learn, okay, this is what I should have done. What would I do if this is me? What will I do in this situation? Prepare yourself, prepare your mind, prepare yourself for the uncertainties of life. Because honestly, so far we are still living here, there could be uncertainties, but if you're not prepared before the battle, a soldier who is not prepared before the battle will be cut off on the battlefield. Like there's a proverb that says, the firewood you gathered in the dry season is what you are going to use in the rainy season. Go through life learning through other people's experience. Do not wait until something happens to you before you say, what should I have done? No. Nobody wishes for anything bad to happen, okay? But so far you're living here, so far you're still existing on this planet, always prepare your mind for things that could come up at any time, okay? Now let us look at signs of healthy emotional functioning. Like I always say, now mental health is a state and it can always be improved on with knowledge, okay? Number one is being able to recognize and name what you feel per time. Being able to say, oh, I feel anger, I feel this, I feel that, I feel so happy, I feel joyful. Just knowing what you feel is the foundation. Understanding what you feel. Understanding that you are either feeling bad, you are feeling sad, you are not confusing, maybe you are feeling sad or you are feeling sorrowful. No. Being able to understand what you feel is one of the main weapons. And I want you to please practice this from now on. Anytime you feel somehow, can you just take it down? You find that it is difficult. Take a pen and write it down. I am feeling this. You find out that naming that alone, let me assume it's anger, naming that alone will help to water it down. Will now help you to manage it because you don't want to repeat the same thing that happened the last time. Another sign of good emotional functioning is expressing emotions appropriately. Being able to express, like I said, once you can name it and once you can be able to understand it, you can be able to now manage that anger, manage that fear, manage sadness without being controlled by them. Because your ability to name them has already given you control over them. Another sign of a healthy emotional functioning is being able to recover from setbacks, being able to recover from what pulled you down. You don't remain sad always. That is what will eliminate any form of depression. Being able to recover. Okay, today you're having mood swing. Tomorrow you're awake, you are up and doing. Were you not feeling so sad? Yes, I'm sorry. I was feeling so sad yesterday. But today I'm up because I need to continue facing my life. So your ability to be able to recover from any form of emotional setback shows that you have healthy emotional functioning. Now, like I said, sad feelings will always occur, but the ability from you to be able to recover from them is determined by your mental capacity. Another sign of a healthy emotional function is show of empathy, being able to sympathize with others, being able to understand with others, being able to relate with others, knowing that, okay, those persons do this because of this, not actually because of how the person is. Try to encourage them and help them to come out of what they are feeling. Another sign of a healthy emotional well-being is the ability to take responsibility and apologize when necessary. It is the ability to be able to say sorry, which is not a sign of weakness, which is not a sign of admitting the wrong, but it's a sign of maturity, it's a sign of humility, and it's also a sign of willingness to grow. So let us look at the signs of emotional difficulties. One of the signs of emotional difficulties is emotional numbness. Emotional numbness happens when someone refuses to feel anything. They refuse to feel the joy of living. They don't want to either show you that they are happy so that it's not taken advantage of. Numbing emotion is denying yourself the joy of living, and that is not healthy for you. Also, crying, we always say, don't cry, don't cry. Sometimes allow people to cry. If crying will help them to ease whatever they are feeling inside, you don't need to numb and become a macho man or because you don't want to express emotion. So emotional numbness is very unhealthy. Whether inside of a woman or a man, it is always good to express emotions because expressing your emotions is the way you enjoy living. The next one is frequent mood swing. Either the person is up today, which is an early sign of depression. The person is overly happy today. Tomorrow the person is down. To the next day the person, please, if you are feeling any of this, I will encourage you to see a therapist. The next one is overwhelming emotion. What is overwhelming emotion? An exaggerated form of emotion. Exaggerated happiness, exaggerated laughter, exaggerated sadness. That is overwhelming emotion. When you are so much engulfed in it that you can no longer be able to do anything at the moment. When somebody is just overly, because it's not always on the negative side. Haven't you seen people that are just laughing, uncontrollable, even when there is a need to laugh? It's not only anger, someone that is overly expressing everything. That is difficult. Overwhelming emotion, when you allow your emotion to determine who you are, when you allow emotion to pull you down, whether it is sadness, overwhelming sorrow, that no matter what is done, you cannot be pacified. That is overwhelming emotion. The next one is difficulty in identifying feelings. When you cannot name what you are feeling, like someone that is having frequent mood swing, you can be able to say, okay, I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling the other way. No, you can't even identify what you are feeling per time. That is not good at all. Another one is suppressed or explosive emotional reactions. I've already explained this. Suppressed emotions can lead to stress-related health issues such as high blood pressure and heart problems. So let's go of things past. Let's go of that past pain. Emotional burdens are heavy and they can pull you down, not up. So if you love yourself, there is no need dwelling in a past. If you love yourself so much, there is no need dwelling in a past pain, in a past hurt. Try as much as you can, if you love yourself, to come out of it, dust yourself again, applying your makeup, whether you're a lady or a gentleman, and move on with life. Because your ability to move on with that will give you an upper hand to future challenges that are coming. Choose to forgive, choose to heal, choose to live well. It is your choice to make. Do not allow anybody determine that for you. Now, let us look at the practical ways in which you can be able to improve your emotional health. One thing I will suggest is practice self-awareness through journaling, through reflection. First of all, know yourself. Do you know who you are? Do you know how you feel at time? It will help you a lot. Do you not understand yourself that each time you are angry, you are shaking, you are vibrating, your chest is pounding, you now know it. Maybe the land, that is where cognitive help, because cognitive helps you to be able to recall past events. So let me give you an example. It could be a funny one, okay? Maybe the last time you felt anger is said by the hand is shaking. Each time he's angry with somebody, the hand is shaking. Maybe the last time the hand was shaking, 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 and you landed a slap on a military man. What happened to you that day will help you so that next time, as that hand is shaking, instead of releasing it, what are you going to do? You will now pocket it. Understand yourself. It is very, very important. Take yourself out of places that triggers negative emotions in you. These things is what you can do for yourself because you want to be in charge of yourself. You don't want to be directed by one emotion or the other. You want to be in charge. For you to be able to be in charge of yourself, you have to what? Be self-aware. You have to understand who you are. You have to know yourself. You have to clearly name what you feel per time. Now, reflect on emotional patterns. Reflect on emotional pattern means, for example, if you have someone that when they are feeling anger, their chest is pounding, from their chest pounding, then their hands are shaking to release a slap. So the next time, what are you going to do? You've practiced the pattern. So when it's okay, the chest is now pounding, the next thing his hand will start shaking, you have to control it. Reflect on what led to this one, what led to this one, to avoid reoccurrence mistakes. Practice breathing and relaxation techniques. This helps. Practice taking in deep breath. Practice taking in water before you explode. Just take in water. Take in what? A deep breath. If you don't know what is breathing and relaxation techniques, drop it in the comment section. I'm going to tell you in details what these are. It is going to help a long way. Talking so much about anger management because that could lead into so many problems. Practice breathing, practice relaxation, practice taking your time to relax and reflect before acting. Remember cognitive. If you have not watched that video on cognitive, I want to encourage you to go back and watch the video on cognitive health. Express emotions through communication and creativity. Try to speak out. Try to have a dialogue with the person, have a discussion with the individual. Our creative thinking, creativity. What creativity means, trying to express your emotion uninterrupted, either by drawing, either by cooking. Some people get ease by cooking. Some people get ease by taking a walk. Some people get ease by, I wouldn't like to say this one. Let's leave this one I wanted to say because it won't help. Okay. So some people get ease by talking to someone. If you can say, okay, I don't have anybody to talk to the wall. Talk to your paper. Get pen and paper. Write it down. If you have not done this before, try it. When you are overburdened and you want to explode, try and get a paper, even in tears. Write down what you feel per time, and that will help you to get relieved. Practice mindfulness. Practice being present in the moment. Practice being aware of your environment. Avoid being absent-minded, just like we talked about in cognitive. Avoid being absent-minded. Focus on your purpose and not temporal setbacks. Focus on where you are going and not what is happening. Because no matter what happens, your focus should be on your target, which is getting to your destination. Your focus shouldn't be on what you are feeling at the moment. Finally, seek professional help when it is necessary. Do not try to bottle up anything. Try to free up yourself. Try to open up. Try to speak up. What I have just said, both through cooking, through penning it down, through taking a walk, try to or seek professional help when necessary. I read somewhere that one of the root causes of breast cancer is pain in the heart. Stored up pain, long-term pain that has not healed, wounds that have not been healed. And that is what is causing that kind of pain. So please, as a woman, as a man, try to free up. yourself. Try to liberate yourself. Try to live free. Try to enjoy your life. Having said all of this, we've come to the end of this episode. And by the next episode, we are going to be looking at the other components of mental health. And also in that episode, we are going to be considering the holistic view of mental health, which will comprise of the components, the emotional and the behavioral well-being. But before you go, now is the you time, a time you'll be allowed to answer a few questions. Here are the questions. Take a moment to reflect on your answers, privately or in a journal. I will always add a Google form link in the description box. You can click and answer. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this episode. Do well to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And also follow us on other social media platforms. Till I share my next one. Bye.